The babysitter, now very aware of Alice, walked over to the crying girl and glared at her sternly. Alice stopped sobbing in spite of herself, taken aback by the woman's harsh gaze. After a few minutes of awkward silence, Alice opened her mouth to carry on with the waterworks, but the babysitter shoved a pacifier into Alice's mouth and said gruffly, "You just be quiet, or I'll really give you something to cry about." With that, she stalked back across the room and resumed her place in the comfy-looking easy chair. "Looks like things just got worse," thought Alice as she sucked on the pacifier. She looked around the room once again, this time surveying for a method of escape. Alice surveyed her surroundings, looking for a way to escape. She noticed that her clothing was already getting tighter, as the caterpillar's formula was beginning to wear off. Alice quietly made her way to the corner of the room where her stroller was kept, keeping an eye on the nursery attendant at all times. Once there, she tried to peer into the stroller but found she was still too short. Alice realized she'd have to bide her time until she was a little taller, and could reach the bag inside the stroller that had a fresh diaper and larger clothes. She waddled over to the toy box and began to dig through the play items. Her limbs and stomach ached slightly, no doubt due to her unnatural growth spurt. She found a set of blocks, some dolls, and some other toys, but nothing that would hold the interest of a teenage girl stuck in a baby's body. Then, her eyes fell upon a large teddy bear. It lay against the wall, and walking up to it, Alice realized it was almost as big as she was. This gave her an idea. She grabbed hold of the bear and began to drag it over to the stroller. This was hard work, as Alice's stubby fingers and small legs made the bear difficult to hold on the long journey across the room. All at once, a wave of cramping gripped her tiny tummy, and Alice let go of the bear. Looking down at her feet, Alice could literally see the ground get farther away as her legs grew longer. Another feeling interrupted Alice's sense of awe. Slowly, Alice realized there was a growing weight in the back of her diaper. She groaned as she realized she was pooping in her diapers. A rather embarrassing noise accompanied the release of her bowels, and Alice's face grew red. None of the other babies seemed to notice, though, and the nanny was nearly asleep in the rocking chair. Alice felt another wave of cramps sweep through her system, and nearly doubled over in pain. When it was all over, Alice's diapers were full, her cramps had subsided, and her clothes and diaper were nearly splitting at the seams. She'd grown to the size of a small toddler, and she desperately needed a change of clothing. Alice looked around for the teddy bear but found it had gone missing. Another child had toddled off with it while Alice had been soiling herself, and was now playing happily with it, nibbling on its nose and drooling on it. Alice took a step forward and cringed as the still warm mess between her legs oozed against her skin. "As many times as I've pooped myself lately," Alice said to herself, "it's a wonder I'm not used to this by now." She marched over to the child and grabbed the bear. "This is mine," she said, her voice still helium high. She marched off to the stroller, leaving the poor child from whom she'd taken it sitting glassy-eyed with shock. Alice put the bear down, stepped on top of the stomach, and found she could reach the side of the stroller. She gripped it with her fingers, just barely able to get hold of it. It was then that the child whose bear had been stolen let out a howling cry. Alice looked frightfully at the nanny, who woke with a start. The nanny spotted the crying child and moments later saw Alice, who was still trying to pull herself up on the stroller. Alice pulled hard, boosted herself up on the edge, and saw victory within her grasp. However, before she could complete her mission, the nanny began to move. "You stay out of there," she accosted Alice from the other side of the room. She was on the move now, and Alice knew she had precious little time before the nanny would interfere with her plans. Alice leaned in and grabbed hold of the diaper bag, but as she did so the crib, rocked by Alice's sudden movements, began to tip over. Alice fell backward, diaper bag still in hand, and landed with a thump on her backside. The diaper's contents oozed to the front and back of the diaper, working their way around Alice's anatomy. The diaper, already strained from Alice's growing, could take no more. Alice heard a slight pop, but couldn't place the sound. She tried to stand, but the nanny had her under either arm. "You come with me," the nanny said, angrily. "Little girls like you shouldn't be allowed to run around. You might hurt yourself." Alice could feel herself being picked up off the floor and felt a chill and cool breeze move along her backside. Looking down, she saw her diaper, the tapes undone, still sitting on the floor. "Oh my," remarked the nanny. "Your diaper has come off." Alice realized she was naked from the waist down, and let out a cry. One cry became many, as Alice again launched into a crying fit, this time enjoying no part of her tantrum. "Come on, let's get you cleaned up," the nursery attendant said begrudgingly. She laid Alice on the changing table and took the diaper bag from her. "At least I don't have to make an extra trip," said the nanny. She opened the bag and took out a diaper.